auf vielen, vielen Reisen.
In all my years of traveling, and I really have to say that, I had countless problems with suspensions, with the shock absorbers, with damaged bars, and also with retrofit products. Then we started thinking about how we could improve shock absorbers, how we could lay them out in a way that they can withstand all the shocks and the floor unevenness, that they can simply deal with all the terrain features and protect the vehicle, so that punches have no chance to damage the material of the bike.
Damit es eben keine Durchschläge gibt, die dann ans Material vom Motorrad gehen.
For 25 or 30 years ago, we already used special absorbers for our travels, just to be able to complete our tours, because at that time the shock absorbers weren't robust enough. Nowadays it's a little different. Absorbers are far more robust these days. Still, the producers cannot individually go into suspensions and shock absorbers as we can do that with the Touratech suspension absorber.
Each traveler knows that the suspension is the part that is the most heavily used because of the baggage or a pillion passenger. On longer tours, you often notice how the suspension decreases. Touratech has many years of experience in adapting parts for suspensions. That is why the Touratech suspensions are produced in cooperation with Tractive. The experience and the know-how of the last 20 years are used to produce the perfect suspension components directly in production and in optimization afterwards for the customers.
The Nuda is a good example for how we test the Touratech suspension. This year we built up 2 Nudas for the Erzberg rodeo. We drove up the prologue and it was not so bad. We made the 3rd and the 5th place in the 2-cylinder class with 80 participants. It was important to have a good suspension that could work also at 180 kilometers on gravel. It's an extreme example, but it's also an example of how hard we test that material.
The focus of Touratech suspension is clearly on traveling. We develop suspensions for rally and racing, but traveling around the world is far more important to us for the creation of the suspension components. The benefit you have by using these components is a gain in security, in traction and in functionality. Especially when you are traveling on difficult terrain with changing weather conditions and heavy baggage. Touratech suspension helps you to have the perfect suspension. Before we went to Ethiopia, our cooperation with Tractive Suspension started. This is the first thoroughly tested suspension system. It's a system that can be adjusted in multiple ways and that has been matched by our mechanics.
Also wir haben da sehr, sehr lange Testfahrten im Schotter mit Beladung, ohne Beladung gemacht. Und ich hatte
We did a lot of testing on gravel with or without baggage, and I never had a suspension system in my bike that could handle all the circumstances we encountered along the way. This system never even got close to its limits.
Absolut niemals an seiner Grenze und ich hatte so das erste Mal auch nie durchschlagende Federelemente.